Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Corporate. And today we are actually very happy to talk to one of the CEOs that we've featured in the July-August issue of the Corporate. Our guest for today is the CEO of Tech One, and I'm so excited to listen to his stories from being an employee to a CEO. Plus, the fact that he launched a Filipino radio here in the country. We wanted to find out the technology that they've used, how he did it, and a lot of things. So, without further ado, our guest for today is none other than Joseph Marcelo of Tech One. Hi, Joseph.
Hi,
Oh, we
Jason. Thanks. It's a very formal introduction.
yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for saying yes. You know, you have to read his story in the July-August issue. Napakaganda. Sabi ko, wow. Oo nga, no? These are the things that we need to listen, especially when we experience some challenges, not just in the business, but also in
Yeah.
personal life.
Mhm.
Diba?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how are you, Joseph? I love your background.
I'm good. Uh, Ever since the pandemic started, we really didn't stop. So actually, we took it as the best opportunity to develop or innovate. It's something that, okay, other friends I know or other entrepreneurs I know, they were really shocked. But as we tried, okay, there's no other choice, Jason. It's like, okay, come on. If we stop, the more problems will come to us. And before you know it, you're depressed already and you don't want to move on. So I said, okay, take that out of your mind and let's come up with something new. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity. I keep saying myself like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, it's more an innovation. But before we go to some details, can you give us like a background of your company? We were
Yeah.
discussing about it a while ago, and ako ay talagang wow. So maybe it would be better if you can give us like a short background of what your company do or does.
Yeah. Basically, it started way back in the 90s, no, with from a company doing Motorola two-way radio systems, more on the public safety. That was when the time when cellular phones are still in the analog, remember? Like the smart bill crusher and things like that. When corporate communication, they used to have these analog mobile phones. But when Motorola introduced the trunk radio system, we supported the requirements of corporates and government system, dispatch communication system, which is known as the two-way radio. Now, the two-way radio for a layman might be something like that's a tool. It's a World War II technology. Why are we still using it, right? Just to give everybody a background of who uses two-way radio. Two-way radio is still being used by teams today, whether in your public safety, you're in a security, you're an events organizer, you're into mining, you're into construction, you're into services, you still need a push to talk device or walkie-talkie to communicate to one to many. So for operational efficiency, no, this will not be obsolete. It will just develop into other forms or platform or technology, but it's still there because teams have to communicate. So you know very well that, Jason, because
Yeah.
we did that a couple of years ago. So that's it. So it came up. I was supposed to be a dealer of other brands, but I decided that okay, I wanted to have more control of the market. So I ventured into what you call the OEM. I went to China because apparently I've been going around the world to look for other solutions, but it was China who was like, okay, they have the system already in place. So doing OEM, I saw that an opportunity. Okay, I'll bring in, I'll carry my own brand. I'll talk to a manufacturer in China and bring it to the country, bring it to the Philippines as the first two-way radio brand in the Philippines. And we go from there.
Wow.
So that's my short story how we began with Versa as the first Pinoy brand of two-way radio.
Wow, I love it. So, parang kumbaga Pinoy pride.
Yeah. We designed it like some technicalities to comply with Philippine laws. That's
Okay.
how we did it first. So it's not something taken out of the box there. It has something to do with fitting with the requirement in the Philippines plus complying with the regulations of the government. So
So
that's how we did it with one model first, then eventually came up with a lot of models after.
your team carefully studied everything just to ensure that there won't be any problem when
Yeah,
it's implemented.
yeah, but we did encounter a lot of problems. The customers are like they're not used to the new brand, right? Okay,
Mm.
so it's China, it's not good quality. But if you know what you're doing, you know these radios that the other brands have been selling all over the world, they all came from the same factories. You just have to know your thing to understand what is good quality and what is not. Who is a good
Okay.
partner, a manufacturing partner, and who is not. So it takes time for us to learn that, okay, this one is good. So we can assure the customers better quality. But at the end of the day, it's the team here that provides the service. It's not really the product. So, and since the two-way radio is not unlike your mobile phone, which is very much personalized and consumer oriented, two-way radios is more of a service product, not really a hardware that people would be like carrying around, something like that. They need something reliable, they need something dependable at the end of the day. So there has some to be a team that to back up the brand. So we learned that like it was not easy, Jason. So it took some time for us to learn the ropes and doing it. But eventually, for almost 10 years now, and new innovations are coming. Yeah,
Okay. You've mentioned a while ago that you were carrying before known brands.
yeah,
Before you came up with your own brand,
yeah.
Versas, the first Filipino two-way radio. Can we talk about what are the advantages and disadvantages of having a known brand? If you're carrying a known brand, what are the advantages and disadvantages?
Okay. For me, it's the advantage basically is you have your own name. Okay, you very much control the direction of the brand or where you want to go. The disadvantage there is related to how the market would accept you in the beginning. So you really have to start small and focus on a certain market segment first. So for you not to lose track, like okay, we focus particularly in the security market because that's where the pain point is. The famous brands are very much expensive. So we studied like okay, security companies, security agencies, there are more security guards than police and military combined. So this is a really good market, and we have to understand what they need. They really don't need those expensive radios because they're always on a budget, right? Because
Yeah.
they're contracting their services to corporations, and corporations are always cutting costs. So it's the security that really is a very budget conscious market. So there was a product to market fit immediately. So we didn't have so much struggle doing that. We just focus on that market in the beginning, like okay, consistently serve that market and grow that market. And that's where we were recognized later on that okay, Versa is reliable, Versa is reliable. So that's it. So I think the challenge there is really knowing who to serve first. Your early adopters. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's actually a good one that if you have your own brand, you have to adopt as you have mentioned, and you should identify the niche market.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Was
Yeah.
it hard and how long did you actually build your Versa brand?
Uh, because in the beginning we were so excited, like okay, we had a good start, but immediately like okay, me being me, I wanted like fast growth. I wanted to expand the product uh, range. Like okay, we even came up with other uh, products like CCTV or other security products, but that didn't go well because there's no focus. So I learned the lesson there because not all products, not all techs are like, you have to know which market you can support first and not focus on the product. So that was a mistake we did. So we lost a lot of money there. Like we put up some retail stores. So I immediately like, okay, took out all those other brands, other products, and stick to communication, which is really my core. And now I'd like to consider the DNA of the company, which is communications. So there.
You
Yeah.
mentioned something which is really good. Focus first on the market before the product.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So for everyone, if they want like to have like a business and even decide on something, they have first to find the specific market that they want to focus on before acquiring or setting up the product. Is that how I
Yeah.
understand?
Like you have to grow first there and not tap the other segments, because
Okay.
that will only mislead you. That will only ruin your strategy. So if you're okay there, then that's the time that, okay, maybe the closest market is this segment, then
Mm.
that's the time you go there, and it might require another strategy. Then at least you cover your first base first.
Okay. You now have Versa, but I'm also interested to find out what were the benefits and learnings that you got in carrying the popular brands before you came up with your own.
Yeah, the good thing about carrying other brands is you get to learn the weakness of every brand. Okay, and uh, the discovery there is not, it's not in the product, but it's how they run things around. So there are good products out there in the market, very good, very robust, and they have a lot of future. But in being partners with them, you would understand their strategy, and sometimes these strategies are not really working well. So it's not the fault of the product, but it's the fault of those people running the product. So in the years of like in this two-way radio industry, I went around the world and looking at the different products, European brands, Japanese products, American brands. They're all the same. Like they're very resistant to change. The good thing about if you have a small product and you understand your niche, it's like it makes you more like agile. You can go this way and that way. Unlike them, they're stuck to their strategy. So innovation on their part is very, very limited. So I said, okay, this is an advantage. And basically, if you know where things are going in your industry or the parallel industries, like, okay, this is the way to go. It's much easier if you have your own brand, or if you're a brand can adapt to that future that you're looking at, then go for it. Or otherwise, create another brand for it. So
Okay.
the key here is, okay, once you have that name, that brand in you, you should really establish what that brand is for, your brand strategy, and the markets that you really want to tap, be it in any industry, I suppose. Like, but in the telecommunication industry, it's like really understanding everything there, the market forces there, the players, and and just focus on there and be an expert there.
Wow, that's actually a very good advice. Did you ever experience, it's hard really to come up with your own brand. And
Yeah,
sometimes it was also because of the limitations when you're carrying a popular brand or some challenges. In the course of your entire business and as a CEO, did you ever fail?
of course. Yeah, a lot of times they said, as in even depressing moments, like, okay, but maybe the good thing about if you have a brand is like you have a baby, actually, right? So you don't want anything to happen to your baby. You want your baby to grow. You want to live and go out there and explore the world and see what you can do. But if you don't have a brand, it's much easier to give up. Like if you're partnered with another brand, it's much easier to give. It's like you're just adopting it. It's not your baby. It's not your blood. So that's why I'm encouraging like my friends. Okay, come on. Uh, Filipinos should create brands. We are very creative, but we are not risk takers. Because if you would see all the famous brands worldwide, there's a very, very limited Pinoy brand out there, right? But our neighbors, our very close Asian neighbors, they have a lot. Like you can see a lot of Korean brands there,
Yeah.
right? And even Vietnamese, they're coming up now. They're very aggressive. But how come Filipinos are so afraid in coming up or bringing out their brands? Even the conglomerates here, they have all the power to bring out their brands, and that's why for some other companies, there's preference to this conglomerate who's really going out there. Like that's Jollibee. I might have to mention that. Like they're very aggressive, even if they don't use the Jollibee brand, they're acquiring big brands worldwide. And that's risk taking. It's like pride that you can give to the country and to yourself also. So, like, you can start small naman. Oh, you don't really have, you just need to be more risk taking eh, talaga. Yun yung kailangan eh.
Ayan. You mentioned about risk. Alam niyo yung pinakatakot ng iba, because if you're employed, everything is okay. You get your salary every 15th and end of the month, even if you work this much or that
Yeah,
much. Oo. Can we talk about your transition? Kasi
yeah,
napakaganda. You started as an employee before you set up your own business, and now a very successful business. You've been in the industry of, I mean, your own business for more than 20 years. What were your considerations na bago ka mag-take ng risk? Kasi syempre yung iba, hindi madali lang. Kasi syempre, siguro si Joseph na pagandaan lahat. Paano yung ibang gustong umalis ng karera, pero hindi alam kung
yeah,
paano mag-umpisa?
yeah. Maybe you have to like, it's so cliche, you know, like during interviews, you ask, how do you see yourself 5 years from now? Diba? Like,
Yeah.
okay, it's so corny, diba? Like, me, I ask always a person, like, give me a picture of yourself with vivid details 20 years from now.
Wow.
Yeah,
20
and it
years,
has to
yeah.
be vivid. It has to be vivid. Okay, because I've done it to myself. Because when I was still working, employed, like, okay, happy-go-lucky. Oh, yeah, I mean, kami, with Ed, you know, we always drink and go home in the morning and go to the office wearing the same shirt, no? So that was the life I had. But after realizing, like, I've seen families, friends, relatives retiring, right? They want to go to the farm, or if they have like may ipon, like they have enough savings, a fish pond or farm, like that. I ask myself, will I be happy that way? Right? Because at the end of the day, JSL, you would die alone, right? So, wala ka naman pwedeng ihatak dyan kasama, come on, let's die together. So, will I be happy that way with the farm? I mean, Filipinos are known to be laid back, right? We're island people eh. So, I mean, if I'm contented with that, then by all means, I choose a career and go for it and maybe save enough money and buy a small farm. But if I'm not going to be happy that way, then I have to take another route and be more risk taking. So I chose to be an entrepreneur. Okay, sige, all in, do na lang, because I know I will not be happy by the age of 60 in a farm, because basically that's not me. So if you think that that's not your 20 years from now picture, then go ahead, venture into something else, discover something else.
Gusto ko yung sinabi mo, 20 years. Oo nga, no? Kasi the usual question of HR or even some of the bosses, how do you picture yourself 5 years from now? And
Mhm.
yours is different because it's 20 years and yung sinasabi mo nga na give me vivid details of where
Mhm.
you will be 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Oo. So, when I saw the Versa as the first Filipino two-way radio, ako mismo very proud. Because I once worked, di ba, yung sa communication. And I said, wow, this is something that we can all be proud of. After Versa, you have now another baby because of
Yeah.
the pandemic.
Yeah.
What made you decide to come up with this new one? And what exactly is the new baby all about?
Yeah, because every time I introduce Versa to people who doesn't know anything about two-way radios, they would always give me that look, Jason, like, yeah, a radio. Who's using radios? Like, okay, so instead of me like explaining, it dawned into me like, okay, what else can I do? So this is the internet age. Okay, so I might as well do a virtual thing. Okay, so instead of a hardware two-way radio or walkie-talkie, there were a lot of iterations. We wanted to come up with an app, okay, mimicking two-way radio, which we actually did. But they said, okay, it's the same thing. There should be more mass adoption. So um, I went to China before pandemic and saw the power of WeChat there. Yeah, so everybody's using it. Like there was an experiment they did wherein they took the person, they tried to experiment if a person can survive 48 hours without using WeChat. So there was a lot of revelation there. Like, okay. Then I saw it. It's really paperless, moneyless country. Everything you do is you just scan a QR code, then you order from your phone, then you tap, and then you communicate with that app also. I said, Filipinos, they just use the Messenger, Viber, but in every country has their own communication platform.
Yeah.
I said, why not come up with our own? Then I learned that, okay, from the tech industry, that a lot of talented engineers or software engineers are afraid of doing that platform. Basically, again, that's the nature of the Filipino. They're not the types who would take risk. So I said, okay, let's do this. Okay, if we were able to come up with the first Filipino two-way radio, we will come up with the first Pinoy communication platform. So we did. So now we have Talk, TALK. So it's very short, but basically it's out there. It's both out in iOS and Android. You can download it. What it does is it's an ordering platform, but in so many forms. Like whether dine in, you just scan a QR code, then you can tap there, then you can pay already. Unlike
Oh,
unlike in other restaurants, you can just scan and just see what's there, but you cannot
yeah.
order from that
Yeah,
platform,
yeah.
right? We focus on like, okay, scan that, then you can order. But we did something more, and a differentiation is basically if you're on the way to the restaurant, you can basically talk to the waiter because there's a talk button there. That's why it's called talk. So I can order via tap or I can order via talk. But while talking, I can scan the menu and do a simultaneous thing like tapping and talking at the same time. Because I think what the current platforms are doing are limited. You just tap there, and that's why orders on online platforms are very minimal amount because there's no human factor there. There's no direct communication there. That I need more details. No, I want less salt, or for sure there's like, is this size available for me? I'm this one like that. Then people need to talk. People need to talk. People need to use their voice. And that is something that the zillennials are like, okay, that's why you have like TikTok, right? Because they want video, they want to
Yeah.
talk, right? So okay, let's incorporate the both talking and ordering platform, and let's put it out and let's see. So that's
That's
what we
with the
did for
video
2 years.
also. Is
Yeah.
that
Soon
does
we'll
it
have
come with the video?
video. Soon we'll
Okay.
have video because if you want to shop to Hermes, Jason. So
Have to see.
yeah. So yeah. So ang tina-target namin dito like they have actual stores. So there's relevance there. I know where the store is and all verified users.
Oh, okay. Importante yung sinabi mo, verified users.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question. So this is more of your market here is business to business as well as
Yep.
the business to customers.
Yep. Exactly.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
actually a very good one. Sa yung merong talk kasi sabi mo nga ang Pinoy ay mahilig magsalita. Yung
Yeah.
talk ba yon? Do you have like people from your end who does the say clarifications or answering inquiries of the customers? How does it?
No. Basically, the user, once he chooses to talk, then you press the T button, talk, then the merchant representative or the talker will have to answer that or whatever question. Nasa
Okay.
kanila yun. That's
Nasa
on
kanila yon.
we empower them like, okay, there's training there. So it's a typical, okay, Jason, before we receive inquiries, right?
Yeah.
Like that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's a more, because you empower the merchant to have a better engagement with their customer.
Yeah. That's
I
actually
can do suggestive selling. I can do recommendations like this if this is not available, right? So it's more for high value transactions and engagements.
Okay. And they can download that at
Yeah.
iOS
Yeah.
or Android.
Yeah.
Is it free or does it have like
Yeah,
a
it's
certain
free. It's
fee?
free. It's free. And like kung gawang Pinoy, like, okay, we still use the low cost approach because we're targeting the region, Asia Pacific. So Asia Pacific is low cost region yan eh. So and we want to empower. We're doing pilot in Marikina right now. Why Marikina? Because there are a lot of food hubs there, right? These are not mainstream brands. These are the local brands that people should patronize and not the mainstream brands. These are the restaurants that employ like 2 people and a cook like that. Then they have to struggle paying rent. We want to empower them. We want to be known as the go-to app first. That's again, like I said, focus on the segment first. The underserved, which is these brands. Masasarap sila, JCL, and I've tried their pizza, I've tried their ramen, and these are legit and comparable to the mainstream brands, but people don't know that.
Totoo naman yun. But until when yung Marikina and when do you intend to implement it also in other areas?
Once we have like learned enough, then we go on a city per city, focusing still this segment. Kasi mahilig tayong kumain ni JCL, di ba?
Ay, oo. Ganyan ang Pinoy.
Di ba?
Kasama na tayo dyan.
Neighborhood mo lang yan eh, di ba? It's okay, stone throw away, you can go to a ramen place and chances are like chef pala yung may-ari nun sa isang famous Caribbean cruise na ano, di ba? So, ando na yung yung exciting. Tapos hindi naman sila ganun ka pricey. Then okay siya. I-entertain siya ng mga tao. Wala lang sumisigaw because they don't know marketing. They know food but they don't know marketing, and that's where we come in. Okay. Magtulungan tayo. A local brand to a local brand. So dun muna tayo, then let's see what this brings us.
Wow, that's actually a very good. I'm excited to have that in our area. Kasi alam ko na magkiklik. Habang kinikwento mo pa lang, I was actually listening to you and I said, sa tingin ko magkiklik kasi yan yung hiling ng Pinoy.
Yeah.
So, last na lang siguro, no? Your journey from an employee to CEO, carrying popular brands to your own brand. What's your advice to entrepreneurs, even existing CEOs, employees na gustong magnegosyo? What's your advice to them if they want to venture into business? That's the first one. And the second one, for CEOs or even the mid or higher ranks when you're like handling people. Kasi ang negosyo na communication is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Oo, kasi innovation 'yan eh. Mabilis din yung turnover minsan. So
Yeah.
what's your advice to the other CEOs and even the mid and probably higher ups who are actually handling people in their companies? So for the two.
Yeah. Uh, I think we have learned a lot in this pandemic. I mean, every one of us, di ba? Like, sabi nga nila is, people are more YOLO now. Okay? Right? So, it's not a millennial thing. I mean, I think it's for everyone. Uh, for me, it's if that is your mindset, then you have to make the most out of time, because you wouldn't know when the next pandemic would come and it's going to be airborne, right? So you might as well maximize what you have there. And for me, for the other entrepreneurs, is if there's one thing that you can encourage your people is be entrepreneurs themselves. Me, I mean, every time I interview people, like, okay, I want them to be honest, be transparent if they have a small business out there. I mean, I can even help them, like, okay, give them good advice. But, if you have people like entrepreneurs, they have a better mindset. They have a mindset, they have the owner's mindset, and they understand well. Then maybe your journey would be like, they will be with you for the next 2 years. Then you would be happy, like, okay, you're growing. I will not be happy if you move to another company, but I would be happier if you come up with your own business. I mean, that's what the country needs, like risk takers and more entrepreneurs. But if you encourage people that way, then you attract the same kind of people, because you're looking for that specific mindset. Then turnover would be low, right? Recruitment would be harder because you're looking for select people, right? But that's the way it is. It's always culture based. And if that's your culture, then so be it. You stick with it. Then eventually, referrals or your people would know what kind of people to recruit. Kasi yun ang pa rin ang the best sa recruitment. And it's a struggle now because it's pandemic. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if you keep insisting that, okay, this is what we need, this is what we want, and there is growth here, then I guess it's not easy, but it's doable and it's sustainable.
How
Yeah.
about your advice to employees who had later on to venture into business?
Yeah, learn more. And the best time to start is really yesterday. So yeah, and the next best time is today. So just do it. You would do a lot of mistakes, definitely, but that's part of the journey. You should be a journey guy, okay, not a destination guy, right? Because if you're a destination guy, you will not do it. You will not do it. So always enjoy the journey, focus on the journey, because in journey you always see things as opportunities, and go up there and do it and keep on doing it.
Wow, I love it. Focus on the journey and not on the destination. Tama yun. Tamang-tama talaga. So, thank you so much, Joseph, for
Yeah,
sharing your journey as an employee, as an entrepreneur, and of course, as a CEO. And I'm excited for your new baby, which is stock, and your verse is still up, and
yeah.
that's still available. Ang focus mo nga lang is more on the security.
Yep.
Okay, so thank you so much.
Thanks, Jaisal.
Thank you. And everyone, please read our July-August issue, which will be released this weekend through Press Reader. And you can also subscribe through our website, thecorporate.online, come August 8th. But of course, if you want to read it, you can read the story of Joseph and how he was able to survive or surviving the pandemic. So thank you again, and we will see you again for another episode of On Point here at the Corporate next time. Thank
All right.
you.